It's such a pleasure to visit a garden created by Robert Boyle, one of Australia's best landscape designers, that is a living extension of the house. A stunning garden with incredible views that shines on even the wettest, dreary day. So, Rob, what was the design brief for this site?
I had my first meeting with the owner, Jim. Jim didn't sort of actually give me a brief. He said, "What would you do with this, Robert?" The suggestion was we do these huge outdoor decks that would float out over the garden and look down across the garden to the Yarra River. So the views, the internal views and the borrowed views of the property are stunning. And by and large, it was a fairly run-down property. Quite an old property dating back to the 1800s. So it had a cumulative effect of neglect in one sense, and people not being, ruthless enough to pull out things when they were dominant. Sometimes it's kinder to the garden to be a bit ruthless and take out the unnecessary trees to make a feature of the significant trees. The bottom of the garden was these fabulous old river red gums. The recommendation was that we would keep those, that we'd make a feature of those, but also take out all the woody weeds that were dominating the riparian zone of the river, which was also sitting below the 100-year floodline of the river. So that needed to be taken into the design, that, plants that wouldn't be swept away, plants that would cope with a period of inundation.
So what do you do with a sloping site like this? Because that must be quite challenging.
Well, in essence, try and leave it alone. There was a track down, but it was sort of break-your-ankle stuff, so we needed to make that more accessible. The retaining walls were old basalt, dry stone walls, so the intent was to keep those and fix them up so they'd be good for another 100 years sort of thing. And that's a great privilege, to restore a property and leave it in a better condition than it was before we started.
As a designer, how do you like seeing a garden change over time? Like, you design it however many years ago and you come back and see that development of the garden.
Look, that's probably one of the most exciting things, because you put something in as a little seedling and come back years later and it's a beautiful tree or a lovely shrub. You're dealing with that fourth dimension of time, which can be kind to you, or it can be awful to you.
Well, it's been very kind to you here, I can tell you. Now get out your diaries and calendars, because this stunning garden, along with over 30 other spectacular gardens throughout Melbourne, is open as part of Garden Design Fest, which runs over 2 weekends, November 12th and 13th and November 19th and 20th. This is a unique chance to take a sneak peek at gardens created by some of Australia's top designers, and all the money goes to charity.